Come in. Oh,
Hello, Joseph, is it?
hi, Dr. Zapata. Yes, Joe. How are you?
I'm well. What seems to be the problem, Joe?
Well, I'm having difficulty drawing from imagination.
Oh, Joseph, just so you know, that's totally normal. Why don't you tell me a little more about your problem? Is it that you can only draw from imagination if you're completely alone?
Doc, I can't ever draw from imagination.
What about if you're completely relaxed?
When I'm totally relaxed, I can't imagine a thing.
I see. Joseph, it's important to know that even with severe cases like this, there's always hope. I can prescribe an experimental therapy called Form from Imagination.
Form from imagination?
It's early days, but clinical trials are extremely promising. Why don't you try this for 6 months and then check back in with me?
Okay, I'll do whatever it takes. Did you just draw this?
Oh yeah.
Wow, it's amazing. Hey, Doc, do you ever have trouble drawing from imagination?
Oh no.
You wouldn't. I mean, you drew this.
That's right.
Wow.
Form from Imagination is an experimental therapy and is not yet approved for use by the FDA. Do not use Form from Imagination if you are already taking any prescriptions for drawing from reference, working side size, or tracing photos you didn't even take. Stop taking Form from Imagination if you experience any of these side effects: loss of interest in your personal projects, megalomaniacal self-confidence, hallucinations, unless they're the kind you're hoping for, drawing better than Steven Zapata, or feelings that purchasing the course was enough and you don't really need to do the exercises. Call your doctor if you have stiff gestures, flat forms, or boring ideas to address a possible life-threatening condition. Full sketchbooks have been reported with Form from Imagination and medicines like it. Other risks include long-term art careers, too many clients, and being worth more than you're charging for. Call your doctor today and ask about Form from Imagination. Hello everyone, my name is Steven Zapata. I'm a concept artist, illustrator, online art teacher, and former instructor at Art Center College of Design. I would like to introduce you to my new drawing course, Form from Imagination, a course designed to help you draw with confidence from your mind. Maybe you want to be a professional illustrator or designer, maybe you want to be a master with a pencil, or maybe you just want to be the best artist that you can be. Beautiful goals. But it's not always clear how to improve the work that you do from imagination. Over the past 6 months, I've taken all of the little eurekas, tips, and essential exercises that gave me confidence drawing from my mind and compiled them into a sequential course. We start with the absolute foundations, covering the scientific nature of light and shadow, how to hatch, how to create flat tone, spheres, and cubes. And step by step, we move through combined shapes, complex shapes, organic shapes. We cover how to simplify extremely complex subjects like the head into basic shapes so that you can handle them more easily from your head. We look at how to understand and treat details. And by the end of these 14 chapters with over 50 video lessons, you'll be ready to do complex designs from your mind with fidelity and energy. And all the demos are done in pencil on paper, so you can do all of the assignments even if you don't have a fancy digital art setup. But I also have demos, instructions, and modifications to the assignments for those who do want to do them digitally. Here's how it works. Go to formfromimagination.com and sign up for the course. Download the assignment book and start watching the lectures. Do the assignments at your own pace. Take your time with them and use this self-study to develop your patience. When you're done, post your assignments in the exclusive community hub, and I'll personally critique your work with drawovers, diagrams, and advice. I want you to know, this course is no joke just because it's online. It is challenging content, and it is more complete than it would be if I was teaching this class at an art college as I have before. If I was teaching this class in person at Art Center today, I would just play these videos in class, knowing full well that they're the most concise, focused, edited, step-by-step way to convey the material. So I'm serious when I say, this course isn't just a substitute for a college-level course, it's better than a college-level course. And you don't have to pay thousands of dollars per credit and wind up hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. So thank you for checking out the course, thank you for watching this and for your support, and thank you for drawing and making your artwork. The world needs it. I'll see you soon. Greetings. Hello. 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 I'm gonna fix my whole life here. Get that out of my way. I see that. Putting that on lock. Headphones cast away from me. It is indeed time to draw. Hello to Mihail, to Lack, to Mikolaj, to Jerry Lacour, to Sense of Wonder, to Alexandru, Tonu, Estros Muno, 606, and Noxie. Hello, everybody. It's time to sneak a little drawing into the day. The day always conspires against us. It always says, oh, no drawing. No, there's so many other things to do. Life is so complicated. There's so much to do. We couldn't possibly sit and draw. Wrong. Wrong. We can sit and draw. Hi, Stephen. Any investors yet for the Magnet Man idea? Not yet. Any angel investors out there who want to put up $75, $85 million or so to do the idea justice? You hit me up. I don't do this thing where like I pitch to the investors. Like, I know what we got here. You know what we got here. So let's not pretend that it ain't the way that it actually is. Just send me a number. It's that, and that's it. Hold on, my dog's barking. Fanny, get over here right now. Fanny, you come here right now, girl. Come here. Come look me in the eyes. Come here. Sit. Shh. Quiet. You're a dog. You're a dog. You were born to obey. Now obey. Quiet. All right, go to bed. Wherever I point and say go to bed, she goes to bed right there. She's a good girl. I was hoping we'd be streaming in a thunderstorm today. I thought it was going to hold up, but it only stormed for a little bit. I was like, ooh, I'm going to catch it. Thunderstorms are thunder and lightning storms are my favorite weather to draw on. I find something about them so relaxing and exciting. You need to do 10,000 hours of meat blobs to actually get good at art, and that is statistically proven fact. That is statistically proven. It's been statistically proven many times. It's been recreated by multiple universities. It is one of those scientific experiments that definitely reproduces hard fact. One of the most well-attested facts we have. It's one of the good ones, so work on your meat blobs, everybody. You've got to do them. Tim says, hello, Stephen. Real question. If there's no self/ego, what does one do in therapy? There is no self, but there is a kind of reality to your conventional self, and your conventional self probably needs therapy. I have literally a storm about to happen right here now, and I love the sun and heat. Ouch. You know, I could pass on the heat most of the time. I'm not a heat guy. I'm a cold guy. Do well in the cold. Do not do well in the heat. Thunderstorms my favorite weather to go out. Oh yeah, it's the good stuff. Hi Vega, I'm doing well. I am doing well. I have to make my text bigger for my old man eyes. Hold on a second. Sense of Wonder says, I just wanted to share with you all that a new place opened up locally and they were advertising a job position of booze goblin. That's a hard fact. Oof, that sounds like a hard job. I can't imagine many, there's not many things I could imagine that meaning that sound like it'd be a healthy job. You're gonna take a hit from that one, no doubt. Storm for 30 minutes in Jersey? Yeah, it stormed for about 5 minutes here. Only got maybe 2 or 3 cracks of thunder. Damn shame when that happens. You hate to see it. Hello, Stephen. We'll be seeing more of the Space Steven saga. Yes. You know, I can't deny people the world-class IPs that I hold the exclusive rights and licenses to. I can't deny that to the people. The content must flow. There's so much I want to do for you all. I'm just a one-man team. Maybe someday I can get some help. I actually did briefly have some help on I did actually briefly have some help on the Eternal Chronicles of Stephen Zapata, Lasting Legacy 1, Epic 1. I ponied up and hired someone, just like on a little freelance basis, just to help me out with stuff. But then AI popped up immediately, like right that I did it that month that I put out. If I remember correctly, I did that like right that month that I got serious about putting out the end of art, and I've just been living out the consequences of that ever since. But I will get back to it. One-man team, but you have the energy of all of us. Yes, I feed off of your energy. I feed off of it. Did you study art history in school? Yeah, in, you know, varying capacities. I wouldn't say I studied like a ton of it. We didn't have many like art history classes in when I was in college, for example. It was really only a handful. But I started having art history classes in high school. So over the years, yeah, I've had some amount of formalized art history education. Burnt Waffle gave me $2 with a 1-up hippo emoji. Thank you so much, Burnt Waffle. I appreciate that. I will honor your 1-up hippo emoji. $2 contribution sacrifice. You've made proper hecatombs to the worthy gods. May the graces and the fates smile upon you. Surely, now that you have made this good sacrifice, only good things could come to you. No doubt. No doubt. Better watch out. You'll find money on the street. Get a fortuitous email from a benefactor. All sorts of good things are going to happen now. And just like a mega church, the more money you send me, the more your blessings will multiply. It's that simple. Don't overthink it. That's just the devil talking. Just send the money. Ooh, Burnt Waffle sent another $5. Are you guys seeing this? Are you guys seeing this? Burnt Waffle is obviously an extremely intelligent, highly educated person. Knows good information when they hear it. You all have a lot to learn from Burnt Waffle. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if after that donation, Burnt Waffle was, I don't know, healed of some chronic illness. I'm not saying it's guaranteed that that will happen. I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if some chronic illness that Burnt Waffle has been suffering from for a long time suddenly healed after making that donation. Just saying. Just saying. W. Emphatic has realized, one of the quickest to realize what it means to be intelligent, what it means to be educated, what it means to have a PhD in giving money to the proper avenues and to making worthy sacrifices to the gods. PhD in that to the tune of $1.99 US, USD. The AI gods will drown in India ink. You see? You see? This is the kind of confrontational, adversarial mindset that arises when you're being healed, when you're being cured, when divine grace is shining upon you, when you're operating within the proper avenues, when you're doing the right thing. You know, you could say a lot of stuff, take all sorts of actions, but the only thing that really matters in the world is cold, hard fucking cash. Cash money. And the way you move it around, the way you give it to people who draw online, even though they didn't do anything for you, that's what lets you know how intelligent somebody is, how smart they are. Indicates their elevated position in society. It's nice to see that around here. I was getting a little sick of the lack of education that was going on around here. Starting to get a little worried about the meager number of PhDs in the chat. I was like, this is not the best look for us. Getting a lot of lag on my Photoshop today for some reason. I wonder why. I don't have rulers open, which for some reason always makes my Photoshop lag. What's my document size at? Maybe I'm tremendous right now? Nope, very small actually. Very small. What else is up? Boxer Wing says, good afternoon, Stephen and everyone. Good afternoon, Boxer Wing. Cash Money Steve, how long is your longest uninterrupted drawing session? Uninterrupted? How uninterrupted are we talking about? Are you saying like strictly, like no bathroom breaks or anything like that? Probably not very long. I've always been inclined to let myself get up and use the bathroom. I mean, I'm only human after all. I got a whiz. I can't be doing the pee-pee dance while I'm trying to throw controlled lines, you know? Just can't be doing that. If you're leaving a little tolerance for going to the bathroom, smelling the roses, eating food, if you have tolerance for that, then, I mean, I used to do 12-hour days, 14-hour days on the regular. On the regular. I would not advise it. I was not as sophisticated a practitioner back then, so you know, the only way I could think to manage my time was to brute force it. So I just went for numbers for huge amounts of time spent at the drawing board. I mean, it works, but like I said, it works through brute force. It was not efficient at all. I would never do that again. If I entered a time like that again, it would be a sign of bad things happening, I think. Hi, Nick. Human, weren't you an alien? I have always categorically denied being an alien, either of extraterrestrial or extra-dimensional origin. I've never given any evidence towards that conclusion. It's a slanderous lie that my detractors are spreading, often on this very stream. You shame yourself by believing it. Hey, Steven, I have some problems with symmetry. Do you have any tips on improving that? I mean, in drawing, symmetry is really not that useful. I mean, there's symmetry, right? Just like, do things mirror across a center line? It's like, that's very rarely do you need that in drawing. It's very rare that you see things front on like that. And if you need symmetry like that, just measure stuff or use a symmetry tool in Photoshop. But a ruler will do you fine if you're working traditional. In perspective and things like that, almost nothing is symmetrical. You need to understand how to break free of creating two-dimensional symmetry in order to create depth and things like that. I wouldn't worry too much about symmetry. Symmetry within the context of the illusion of the form that you're creating will be, that just requires you to be ever more familiar with how things present in space, right? Symmetry of the face in three-quarter view, for example, right? It's like, this is not a symmetry problem, right? It's obvious that both sides of the face cannot be equal. We're seeing more of one side than the other. So it's sort of a miscategorization to say that, you know, how do I make this near eye feel as big as this far eye? That's sort of a miscategorization. That's not a symmetry problem. That's a forms receding into space in perspective problem. And for organic things like this, there's no good perspective solution. You know, you could, you know, make fancy little diagrams if you want to pretend that you draw this way. Anyone who does this is a fucking liar, by the way. Like, you could try to do the same stuff you do with car wheels and things like that and be like, ah, yes, then I'll find the halfway here, and then that gives me that distance, and then that distance, and the eye goes there. I mean, you can try to draw that way, and it'll make your drawings look like crap. forever, and you'll just need to add vigor and excitement to them anyway. Nobody actually does that. It's totally an effective way to draw. You just get used to, through feel, knowing whether something feels like it's receding too much, coming too much towards us, things like that. Tim says, question, please indulge me here. I've just started studying psychology on my local university. Do you read psychology classical texts? How do they interface with the mystical texts? No, I'm not an academic like that. I don't read any like firsthand academic psychology. I've read a little bit of like primary source philosophy, but I'm not an academic, not a lot. Just like stuff that was really interesting to me, I've checked it out, but really not a lot. So because of that, I would be talking out of my ass if I pretended to understand how it interfaces with any mysticism or anything like that. You know, I've read a little Jung, I've read a little Schopenhauer, you know, I've skimmed some Kant and things like that. Lots of skimming primary source philosophy stuff, but mostly I read secondary sources, you know, actual academics, their popularizations. I read their summaries of the views of philosophers and things like that, or listen to videos about that stuff. Straight up psychology? Can't say I know much about that. And my penchant for mysticism comes entirely from personal experience. Dude, what is with my Photoshop lag today? What is slowing me down here? I might pause my preview here in OBS, see if that helps. Burnt waffle with another $5. Incredible. I mean, dude, what's going to happen next? I mean, at this level of donation, Burnt Waffle might not just be receiving healings for themselves. I wouldn't be surprised if family members, maybe even distant family members, were suddenly healed of chronic illnesses. That's just, I can't make any promises. It's just like, from what I've heard from other institutions like this, you know, mega churches, prosperity gospel, it seems it works for them. I have no reason to believe that those dudes would be like con artists or liars or anything like that. So if it works for them, I just don't see any reason why making similar kinds of donations to me to get me a yacht or something of that sort wouldn't also heal you and your family members. So Burnt Waffle, please, you know, just keep an eye open for any miraculous healings that occur within your immediate social circle. Be sure to update us. Be sure to let us know. Post about it. Be sure to cite me. Be sure to say that it was your donations to my stream that instigated those healings. Remember, Burnt Waffle, if anybody you know starts feeling better anytime within the next 5 years, it's because of your donation. You got that, right? Okay, good. I had some other blobs. What's up with these other blobs? Goblin. Classic Goblin. Goblin with his ass out. Thumbnail guy. Now that is a blob of incredible quality. Do you have a brush pack? I think that might help with the healings. I do not. Most of the time, if you're watching me draw on stream, I'm just using the hard round. The classic hard round brush. This is all with the hard round brush, just with a flow set very low. I'm using the hard round brush right now. Oh my God, the money. You see the amount of healing that's going on? Do you see how our community is being gifted with grace, is being purified? You see how Burnt Waffle and Drive-By Commenter, they're obviously stopping their intrusive thoughts. They're never experiencing suffering anymore. They know that there's physical pain, but that doesn't mean that the mind is suffering. They're being permanently relieved from the 3 characteristics of all forms that the mind comes into contact with. And they, of course, naturally, by donating to the stream, personally and in this moment, achieve Nibbana. That's clear. That's clear from their donations. Drive-By Commenter says, how goes, Stephen? You ever find it weird that in the fantasy genre, most media clings only to Middle Ages Victorian motifs, when, for example, Final Fantasy uses various time periods and influences? I guess I don't find it weird, but there could always be more flexibility there. And I think that the projects that can stretch more, that do push into those more unusual influences, they always benefit from it, and it always makes them stand out. I really liked seeing, for example, that the new Zelda Tears of the Kingdom finally started incorporating some Mesoamerican influences for one of the big aspects of the design, language, and world building in that world. I thought that was really cool. I love Mesoamerican stuff. And Burnt Waffle just gives $10 with a knockout punch. I mean, continuously healing themselves and others. I feel very humbled by Burnt Waffle's intelligence and acumen. You know, clearly this person has a lot of alacrity for intellectual pursuit, and they know how to operate in the world in an effective way. That's just obvious from how fervently they donate. You know, the quality of their tithing to the Church of Zapata tells you everything you need to know about Burnt Waffle. Absolutely everything that you need to know. Absolutely everything that you need to know. My Photoshop is lagging horribly. I might switch to paper. We'll see. You'd have to give me a minute to go get my camera rig and throw it up on my desk. Goodbye, Lloyd. Mohammed says, question, do you think it's possible to get as good as someone like Ahmed by learning from art tutorials but not having a teacher to point out your mistakes? It might not be possible to get as good as Ahmed, period. I mean, you guys have no idea. You really have no idea. I mean, I don't know why Ahmed conducts his life the way that he does, but as someone who has had the privilege of seeing the things that he won't share, it's just completely fucked up how good he is. I mean, for all of the years that I've had to grow cynical about people's talent or to grow disenchanted by my friends' artworks through familiarity with their artworks, Ahmed has always stood out as just, it is just deeply strange to be that good and that capable and that fast in such a variety of realms. And you guys have not seen 1/10,000th of his output. I mean, it's totally crazy. It's totally crazy. But let's say it is possible to get as good as Med. Then you could absolutely do it without a teacher. Of course. Of course it is. There's nothing, it would probably make it faster. In almost every situation where you're learning on your own, it would probably always make it faster to do it with the help of a teacher. But there is simply, I don't see any reason to believe any level of quality or any ability or any knowledge. It just doesn't make any sense that any of it would be gated, hard gated behind a teacher-student relationship. There's just no way. It's all up for grabs. You can figure it all out on your own. You just need to be more patient with yourself, invest more time, spend more time investigating, but you can absolutely do it all on your own. Given what you said before, you wouldn't recommend practicing Riley heads then, for instance? I mean, practice them, just don't cling to them, you know? I think there's something useful to be learned in the Riley abstractions, but I don't think any of those systems, like Riley head, Loomis head, anything like that, I think that those are pedagogies that you work with for a while, probably not more than 6 months. That's my personal feeling. To let it teach you the insight that it contains about those kinds of things, you know, those aspects of faces, for example, and then you move on, you leave it behind. The end goal is always to draw naturally, I believe. I don't think your end goal is to have the Riley abstraction underneath every head you draw. You know, maybe you imagine it, you know, when you hit a problem, but those things are always going to be generalizations and simplifications. And if you're trying to go far out with stuff, something like portraits, which is a very deep subject, inevitably you're going to want to leave all sorts of rules like that and pre-made structures behind, because in the long run, all they can really do is average out your work, right? They're always going to, once you've moved beyond them, once you have a really strong skill set, it can only, sticking to those slavishly can only force you to generalize down to that common denominator and make either your work look more like other people's or make your work look like your own past solutions because you're relying on this thing, you know? That's a cool snake thing. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's so cute of you to hype Ahmed up this way. It's not, I mean, are you kidding me? It's just, he earned it. I don't know what to, it's just the truth. I mean, you guys won't get it. You don't get it. You haven't seen the things that I've seen, you know? I used to look at the thumbnails he was doing through like the mirror that I could see through the door of his bedroom when we were living together, and his thumbnails were like, no one nails it like that. Nobody nails it like that. It's just like this insane natural sense for abstraction of shape, of color, of value. And then he can just kind of project it over anything, character, landscape. The hardest stuff, he could do it with real spaces, like designing architecture and designing environments that people could inhabit and things like that. And the most insulting part of it was how fucking easy it was for him. It was all so goddamn easy, you know? And he'd always say, no, it's hard, you know? And then you'd see him doing it. He's like, no, it's not. No, it's not. And I'm not an idiot. I have a trained eye. I know when it's easy for someone and when it's not. And it was clearly easy for him. Yeah, it's not about hyping him up. It's just, sometimes you got to be honest. Sense of wonder. Given 10, what are those, lira? I think so. Celebrate the first super chat from Sense of Wonder. Wow, your first super chat, Sense of Wonder. You have excellent taste. I mean, this is incredible. You finally learned the best place to invest your money. I mean, you know, there's all sorts of options out there that are being sort of given by con artists, right? You know, there's ETFs, CDs, you know, government-backed securities. All of these things with, let's face it, random percentages assigned to them that they cannot guarantee. Even the government-backed securities that guarantee a percentage, come on, man, it's a government. How secure could it really be? But clearly you've seen through the mirage, you've seen through the illusion. The real deal is this right here. Every scintilla of money that you invest into this stream will of course be returned to you millions of times over. You know, can we say when? No, right? It may be tomorrow. It may be 5 years from now. It might be 80,000 years from now, when this stream has spiraled out into a galactic empire, unlike anything that the stars have seen. But we can be sure that it will happen. It will be returned to you. And this is the best possible investment of your hard-earned money. So, sense of wonder. I don't even want to say thank you, because why would I thank you for doing the smartest possible thing for you, right? Like, you're not fooling me. Like, I know that what you're doing is you're acting selfishly. Like, this isn't some act of benevolence. So I'm not going to thank you. You know, just I'm acknowledging how shrewd you are. I need more room here on my page. My Photoshop is driving me nuts. I'm going to restart it and see if that helps. Fingers crossed. Quit. Goodbye, Photoshop. Goodbye. Arise, Photoshop. Arise from the grave. Photoshop, I need your help again. I summon thee. Come to me, Photoshop. Yes, yes. I see your initial gray field. Load menus, load Coolerus, load Layer Factory, load plugins and legacy extensions. Yes, yes! The ritual is complete. Now, Photoshop, obey me. Bend to my will. Load June 14th.psd. Load! Good, Photoshop. Good. One more command. Manifest not any lag. Be free of lag for this session. Oh, not a bad start, Photoshop. Not a bad start. Pretty promising. Pretty promising. Great White Sufi says, hey, Steven just popped in to say hi. Hi, hello, Great White Sufi. I appreciate the hi. Snowge says, Steven, Steven, I'd say this current creature you're drawing is less of a blob and more of a school. Lies. It's always lies with you. Thanks, nerd. Sick of you nerds coming into my stream telling me what's a blob and what's a school. You think I like that? Do you think I like that? You think I like when you just come kind of pounding in here? You know, it's easy for you to type out whatever you want, say whatever you want. Like every other critic in the world, you risk nothing. You risk nothing. Come in here, tell me what's a school, tell me what's a blob. Why should I even give you the time of day? Why should I do that? You haven't earned it from me. I want to draw a blob, I'll draw a blob. I want to draw a school, I'll draw a school. What else is up? What else is up, people? Nothing much is up with me. I went to life drawing last night. You got to keep it up, folks. Life drawing session 9 billion for me, probably. Went to life drawing yesterday at the gay bar. My preferred life drawing environment. You go to life drawing at some just class, you got like a 50-50 chance of getting a girl. Unacceptable. Gay bar? Odds are good you're going to get what you need. I'm too bashful to attend life drawing. No confidence in my skill. No. It's fun. It's fun. There's very few life drawing environments that are like hyper competitive. You know, like obviously if I'm there, I'm being hyper competitive, but I keep it in my mind. You know, I don't impinge it on everybody around me. It's like I'm always sure to make sure my stuff is the best in the room, but I don't talk about it. And I have the good decency to close my pad in between sessions so that nobody gets discouraged. When it's time for the model to take a break, pad gets closed, I walk around, I say loudly, wow, I draw like shit. I suck at this, puts everybody at ease. If I left the pad open, let's face it, people would leave. And there would be good reason to be bashful. But most places, there's not someone like me there. Most life drawing sessions, just odds are good. Just statistically speaking, there's not someone on my level there. So you should feel totally comfortable going to them. You should feel completely safe going to them. In all seriousness, life drawing is dude, 99% of the time, very accepting, very friendly people who want to meet other artists. Nobody's really being comparative or anything like that. Most people are there just for fun, you know? A lot of the times you're at life drawing, like, a lot of life drawing sessions, like a quarter of the room, it'll be their first time, you know? So it's very open. You ever fight someone for a seat? It gets real. No. I have, I always try to get there early to get a good seat, but if I don't get a good seat, I just take it as a challenge. I just take it as like, how can I make great drawings even though my view is terrible and I'm very uncomfortable? It gets my hackles up. And the lag is back. I don't know what is wrong with my Photoshop. Tim says, question. I'll also use the 5 years of psychology to get good in art without having the pressure to live off of it. I already have the course, but what about painting like you? Advice? The way I paint is very much just a translation of the way that I draw. For the aspects of color, like color questions, making color designs, yeah, that has a little bit of like more color theory focused thought, but I'm not really deep into color theory. I don't my deconstructionist views make it difficult for me to accept color theory rules on their face. But the way that I draw, like how I put down marks, how I go about rendering, how I try to create form, how light is produced in the picture, that's all just an extension of the way I draw. So focus on the drawing. That's always my advice. Focus on it the right way. Focus on how is form created? What does form mean? What is the nature of light? How do forms interact with light? You have the course, so really like the way I paint is just the information that's in the course with color ideas laid over it, but nothing fundamentally changes. It's all still the modeling factors. The color of every modeling factor is just determined by the light source, the local value, and the ambient light, and the varying interactions of those three aspects. And that's it. Maybe your PC is overheating. I had this issue with my PC too. My OBS tells me my PC is not very burdened right now at all. And I don't usually have this problem, so I don't know. Is it possible that I'm just too... Could it be that I'm at too low a resolution? That doesn't make sense, because I usually work bigger than this. Steven, I listened to the Ahmed podcast again. Would it be possible to know why Ahmed hit you? I'm literally dying to know, no joke. No. Some things are just between me and Med. Yep. Sense of Wonder gives 149. Incredible. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Sense of wonder. You see, you keep making good investments. You keep making good investments. Many blessings will accrue to you and your family. Many healings will occur. I can, of course, guarantee that. I'm laughing because it's so wonderful and wondrous. You know, sense of wonder. You understand wondrous things. I'm just laughing because of how wondrous it is that very soon you will be healed of many ailments. Direct family members will be healed of many ailments. It's just a natural law of the universe. The more money that you give to art streams, the more people in your life become healed. That's clear. That's going to continue. And it will be directly proportional to how much of your income you tithe to this stream. Same goes for everybody else out there. These are the immutable laws of the universe, my friends. There's no use resisting them. It's just the way things are. Traditional is calling you? I think so. I think I'm about to switch. I'm getting annoyed here. Seen any visually inspiring movies lately? I haven't been very impressed by like cool designs in movies lately. I'm sure the sequel to Spider-Verse is great. I'm sure it's, you know, it's probably only better looking than the first one, and the first one was amazing looking, but I haven't seen it. I don't know. Yeah, I haven't. Cool designs in movies haven't really done it for me lately. I haven't been watching a lot of like action or sci-fi stuff. But I've been very impressed by cinematography in general lately. Yeah, I don't know. I know I have. It's just whenever on stream people pose me like a definitive question like that, I always have trouble remembering like what I've seen lately, what I've been watching. Yeah, in general, I think people's general cinematography, like separated from special effects and stuff like that, I think cinematography in general is only getting better and better. It looks, you know, people just have more example shots to pull from. They're pushing into weirder and wilder territory with setting up shots and things like that. What was that movie? I always think of 1917. Is that it? The shot that's all a single shot of. It's a World War I movie. Roger Deakins was the director of photography on that, and there's this scene that is at night, and the scene, it's, you know, it's a set piece, you know, it's a big long sequence, but it's lit by flares that arc across the sky and light the scene with moving light as the scene goes on. I think that is the coolest thing I've seen on camera in probably the past 6 years or something like that. That set piece blew me away. I'm gonna switch to traditional. So let me get my rig here for a second. I'm still here, don't worry. I'm still here, just a second. Let's see if I can actually do this, because sometimes when I try to switch live, OBS wants a restart to pick up my camera, in which case we'll be screwed. We'll just have to stick to digital. Let's take a look. Oh yeah, we're good. Let me turn on some lights. Sorry, bub. Stay. I'm not bothering you. You can stay there. I'm not going to step on you. Shit, I left my pencil case in my bag from Life Drawing last night. Give me 1 second, I'm gonna go get that. 1 second. You guys know you got to go to Life Drawing, right? All right, now I can goodbye to Photoshop. You really pissed me off today, Photoshop. It's very rare that Photoshop is so laggy that I have to pull out of digital midstream, but some days it's just, it won't go. It refuses to act right. Nick says, I understand that you must let art and the art process crack your soul open if you wish to truly immerse yourself and be the best and most honest version of yourself that you can be. But man, does it really have to be so painful at times? Those self-reflections really get to you. I mean, it hurts. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't... When you look... Difficult to say. I think that when you look back, it's often clear that you didn't need to suffer through the self-reflections. There was a way to go through that was more equanimous and less inclined towards actual suffering, you know? Making a distinction there, a subtle distinction there between pain and suffering. But I think that to then put that into action in the present, when suffering is coming up, you do need to have sort of had that eureka, had that profound understanding multiple times. I don't think it conceptually on its own, I think it's probably not powerful enough for most people to put it into action. And even after a couple of cycles where you see, right, I didn't have to suffer through it. I didn't have to suffer through it. Even after a couple, it's probably still not strong enough to free you in the current cycle of pain that's going on. But I do believe that after several, and this is the case for many artists that I know, after several, it does get ingrained, and you will find yourself taking those painful things much less seriously in the moment, and you'll be much more inclined towards peace and happiness. That said, For certain people, and this could be you, you can skip all of that horseshit and just be happy the whole time, right? I see now at the point I'm at in the path, I can see that that is possible. I can't personally attest to that because I spent plenty of my practice miserable, right? You know, I did have pain at various times, but it's just clearly not necessary. It's clearly not necessary to suffer through it. How could it be? What would be so essential about the suffering? Nothing. Now my light is screeching at me. My setup is really falling apart. I need to buy a bunch of new stuff. My lights have their fans have gotten super noisy all of a sudden. My computer is lagging more than it used to. Might be time to do a big upgrade across the board. Maybe I'll get a new computer. Swap out these, the lights that I shoot stream under were, you know, I bought them years ago when I first started doing online stuff, and they were just like the cheapest lights possible. They're like $20 each. It's probably time to upgrade them for like decent quality lights. The closest live drawing to me is Atlanta, which is about an hour away. $15 for a 3-hour session held twice a week. May have to try it. You should. You can also, you know, life drawing, you can do it, you know, you won't be able to, it might not be the most comfortable environment, you know, you might not have great access to lights, but you can do life drawing with your friends, you know, you can sit for each other, have each other pose, do shared portrait sessions where each person sits for, you know, a 10-minute session and you all rotate and do portraits of each other. Steven, are you still working on your own Last Judgment piece? You know, I was just looking at those like the other day on my phone. Just, it might have been yesterday actually. But yeah, just in the past couple of days, I was looking at those again. And I'm like, I just really want to go back to them. I will. I haven't been working on them lately, but I really liked the trajectory that those were taking. And I want to keep going with them. What friends? Got to get some friends. Make it a priority. We all need friends. You only think you're a super cool lone wolf. You ain't. You need friends. Mizubi says, same, Satya. I'm happier every day with art, not because it's easy, but for once I can look and say it was worth it and love every second of it. That's so cool. I'm glad to hear that, Mizubi. Yeah, art does not have to be, look, it's just, if the pain is there in the process right now, if there is even like really intense pain in the process, you know, you're feeling stressed out, annoyed, frustrated every time you sit down at the drawing board. If it's there, it's there. And it's not to be resisted. It's to be accepted, you know? And not accepted with a fucking agenda. Not accepted so that it goes away. Truly accepted. Just, this is a painful time. That's all right. Keep making work. But once you get some distance on it, once you enter a new phase where you get to reevaluate and sort of change your direction and stuff like that. Yeah, really take it seriously that it can just be fun. The pain is not a hard requirement in art. It simply isn't. Just read an article that the AI photo app trend has already fizzled. I wish. I hope so. But there'll be other ones. By photo apps, you mean like Lensa or something like that? Where you can make your own little avatars using AI? I mean, it'll just get replaced by another one. The companies will come and go, but that as a product will stick around, I think. Wow, isn't it great how traditional doesn't lag? Isn't it great how traditional is responsive? Like as soon as you touch the paper, a mark appears? Isn't it amazing how traditional runs at like 380 frames per second or something like that? On base hardware too. Is anyone else seeing some kind of weird black line over Steven's head? That's just the edge of my camera caught in my webcam feed. If only it was something more interesting than that. Nick says, wow, Steven, you are so good. This creature looks very real. Oh, God. Nick always knows how to piss me off with the puns. You and my friend Fernando would have got along. Fernando was a pun master, and I tried to hide it from him for the longest time, how upset puns make me. And once he found out, there was no stopping him. It was his greatest joy in life to just see my face drop every time he whipped out a pun. It never stopped. It was brutal. Brutal. What is the type of tool he is using called? This is just a marker. A good old marker. This is a water-based marker like the markers that we all used when we were kids. Fancier markers are usually solvent-based, like alcohol-based. But this is just a water-based marker. Easy, Nick. Easy. Oh, God. Oh, God. Jack Foster says, Stephen, you mentioned before you taught a class on narrative fiction in the medieval period? Not in the medieval period. Or Middle Ages Germanic narrative or something. Would you mind telling me a little more about what that was? Yeah, I'm not sure. What do you mean? I did teach classes... where students had to make their own stories, but there was no specific time period or any restraints like that on what they could do. They could do period pieces if they want, and few people did, you know, set stuff in like Victorian era and stuff like that. But there was no hard limit about that, and the class wasn't about any particular period or anything like that. They could do contemporary stories, real-world stories, fantasy stories, sci-fi stories, period pieces, whatever they want. You mentioned it in relation to public speaking. You said it was essentially a public speaking class. Yeah, that was a big part of it. Yeah, and that is what I'm talking about. In the narrative, in the dramatic narrative class, they did have to they had to pitch their story every week, along with getting critiqued and actually showing the work. So it did essentially becomes a public speaking or speech giving class or pitching class. But yeah, it wasn't about any particular time period. There was no Middle Ages cant or Germanic cant or anything like that. Nick says, on a serious note, what are hallmarks of quality when it comes to traditional tools? I mean, paper, graphite, marker, etc. Anything to look out for or be wary of? I don't think, for stuff like pencils, I don't think price matters. I think most pencils are more alike than they are different. There's very minimal differences between expensive pencils, cheap pencils, one brand to the other. I think paper is what matters. Substrate is what matters. The actual application, the actual medium itself, yeah, I just find that things are getting better and better and more similar as time goes on. And even when there are big differences, it's not that you could say that one is like objectively better than the other. There tends to be sort of a matter of taste going on. Like a lot of people for sketching prefer the cheapest stuff just because it makes them feel free, or it sort of triggers the kid-like quality in their mind again. But substrate, what paper you use, what canvas you use, stuff like that, that I do believe that is where the real differences are found. There, I think those make huge difference. Difference between cheap paper and expensive paper, tremendous. I talk about that often. I think you should use good paper as often as possible. You should get used to doodling on it, sketching on it, and not being precious with it. Just be willing to waste it and throw it out. And, you know, canvas, you know, I'm not a huge painter these days, but from when I was painting, like you can tell the difference under the brush pretty clearly if you're using cheap cotton or nice linen. You know, there is a real substantive difference to the way that the paint goes down, to the way it feels under the brush. So yeah, not on the mediums themselves. I don't think there's many important markers of quality, and some cheaper materials are better than other expensive materials, and it's all a matter of taste. But substrate, I do think it matters, and generally the pricier the better. Home Rain gives $5 Canadian. Here's money for my imagination. Stay diamond. I'm not convinced Home Rain is not the Banovator. Damn, I already forget his name. So I'll take their money, but I'll withhold my adulation and kindness. Ray was the name. I'm not convinced Home Rain is not Ray. Steven, I watched Adam Duff's conversation with different artists about AI. Where did you get so good at speaking? I just have a lot of practice. I don't know. People ask me that often. I don't really know what to say. I've just been running my mouth for a long time. I think the most important part of speaking is actually give a shit about what you're talking about. And I certainly give a shit about the AI topic. So that makes it much easier to speak well on it. The lead hardness for pencils can vary from brand to brand. Yeah, it's just like none of that stuff is consistent. Steven, have you ever considered writing a picture book? Not. Yes. Yes, I have. But I've never, like, gone down that route very seriously. You know, it's never stuck around for a long time. Edwin Gonzalez says, do you get inspired when looking at video games? Like, my mind always goes wild when I imagine what the game could be. Yeah, I've always found video games very exciting and inspirational. They were one of the things that got me into entertainment design when I was a kid. Games are great. I'm waiting on that Elden Ring DLC. That's what I really want. Armored Core 6 looks cool, though. Very interesting to see that come back. I played Armored Core 1 and 2 when I was a kid. I didn't know until very recently that From Software was made Armored Core. When I saw someone mention that, I was like, no way, you know, because I'd played Dark Souls and Bloodborne quite a bit at that point. I just had never caught on to that fact that this other series of games that I had played avidly but not well as a kid was also made by From Software. Those games are hard, man. I did not get far in Armored Core 1 or 2, but I just kept restarting them and failing and failing and failing just because I thought they looked so cool. Hey, Steven, I'm a little nervous about my upcoming anatomy class. Any tips on excelling through it? Don't be nervous. Don't be nervous. Anatomy's fun. You're there to learn. You're there to learn. You're not supposed to know everything. If you knew it, if you had a really tight grasp on it, you wouldn't be in the class. It's like you're supposed to be confused. It's okay to not know. You're there to learn. So don't be nervous. You're going to go in, you're going to learn. If you're very motivated and you're paying attention, everything's going to be fine. And remember not to worry too much about grades or comparing yourself to others or things like that. Like, this is art. And the best thing you could do for your art is really connect with the material. You know, just remember you're there for you. You're not there for them. You paid for this thing. You know, it's not about impressing them. They should impress you. And get the most out of it that you can. Just focus on learning the knowledge and don't worry about everything else. When you center yourself on that stuff, it's like there's very little to be nervous about, you know? And Schaefer says, have you ever checked out Alan Lee or John Howe's Lord of the Rings sketches? Been poring over those and love them? Yes, I've seen art from both. I think they're great. Love that stuff. I wish I had one of the books. You know, I wish I should make it a point to pick up like one of Alan Lee's Lord of the Rings sketchbooks sometime. Jim Wool says, Steven, sorry for repeating, but did you look up to anyone who influenced your technique or style? So many people. I couldn't even, the list would be ridiculously long. I wouldn't even know where to begin. Tons of people. It's one of the joys of being an artist, is seeing the great things that other people have done. Being inspired by them, being influenced. Yeah, tons of people. Tim says, question, too many today, I know. I know that principles of design will be a thing, but do you think you could make transformational armor or another particular topic in which you are very good at? Yeah, I mean, I might detour into something like that any damn time, you know, but yeah, I don't have any plans right now for something like that. A lot of my plans got waylaid by the AI stuff, but as things calm down, my time opens up more a bit, opens up again. Principles of design, possibly doing some sort of, you guys have heard me mention, like I'm very interested in finding some way to do like an in-person thing that feels right for me, you know? I like the in-person energy. I'd say those two things are the main things on my horizon. Does anyone here dislike goblins? I think you're unlikely to find anyone in here who dislikes goblins. It's a very pro-goblin stream. Stephen, at what age did you realize you were good at art? I didn't feel like I had, I didn't feel like I was good like regularly for a very long time. I would occasionally get a drawing that, it was more about like individual drawings. I was always open to like, I got a good one. You know, I managed to nab a good one. I managed to find a way to a good one. But like an overall confidence that I could make something good when I felt like it instead of it being an accident, that took a very long time. I would say that wasn't until my mid-20s, and I'd been drawing since I was like 5. I was not a fast learner. I had very low, I still have very low natural talent for drawing. I feel like I needed to build most of it from scratch, most of my abilities just utterly from scratch, and I was a slow learner at everything. what I did have going for me is that I never worried too much. You know, I always, did I stress? Yes. Did I have suffering? Yes. But I always deep down had a confidence that if I just kept going, everything would work out. I never had that I never had what a lot of artists really do, really distracts them, really hurts them, which is that they really think like, man, I should quit. You know, like this is not going to work out. I more pushed back on how hard I knew it would be, but I never doubted that if I just kept going, I would get better, even though I sucked most of the time, which was very lucky. I think if that was the thing that I naturally had that helped me the most. Before art, what did you want to do? What did you do? Did you go to uni? I went to school for art. I went to uni for art. Before art, well, like I said, I've been doing art always, basically. But I didn't always think I'd make it a career. Up until I was about 16 or 17, I thought I would be a scientist, actually. That was more the direction that I went in, but I was always drawing. The Happy Cynic says, low natural talent, we don't believe you. It's true. That's the thing with like seeing someone making art online or, you know, sharing their work. It's like you don't see everything that came before. And so much of, you know, you're watching me because there's some level of virtuosity, and one of the qualities of virtuosity is that it makes it look easier than it actually was to get here. But yeah, no doubt. I would definitely say low natural talent. I mean, for the vast majority of the time that I was making art. I mean, I'm just not, I have many students who were way better than me. Every like year comparison, both in just age and also like this is what it was like in your first year of drawing, this was like in your second year of drawing. Very low natural talent. But it doesn't matter. I mean, you can have very low natural talent, and as long as you keep pushing, you can go as far as you want. I really believe that. I sucked, man. I mean, even in college, all through college, sort of as it pertains to that question that I was asked earlier, through most of college, I always felt like I was getting good ones by accident. All the way up, I would say the whole time in college. It felt very unreliable to me. I did not feel confident. I did not feel like I could, I felt like I needed to do volume to sift through crap and get good stuff by accident. And I did ship a lot of crap. Even with all that practice, even at that age, just, yeah, very low natural talent. Stephen, what do you think about the art of the brothers Hildebrandt, like their Tolkien work? I think it's great. Really impressive, you know, especially for their time. And like, you know, just back then there was less precedence for fantasy art. Like, excellent production design in their work. You know, they had really clear, strong, like art direction, art directors' minds, you know, even at a time before that was like super well codified. I think it's good stuff. Stephen, do you think you will do art for work forever, or do you think you might change path one day? Yeah, I mean, I could be wrong, but yeah, my gut tells me I'll do art will be my livelihood for my whole life, I would imagine. Yeah. You know, even now that has transformed, you know, it's moved, you know, I've gone commercial, I've made more of my livelihood from teaching and educating and things like that. Like there's shifts within there, but broadly construed, yeah, I mean, for now, I think, yeah, art will be my livelihood for my whole life. I think I'm just too interested in it and do it a lot and care about other people's art practice. So yeah, I think so. Lanessa Miller says, isn't AI use inevitable? What's at stake for you? Well, you know, there's every kind of variety of art practice out there. So I don't think it's, artists have always been about determining what their practice is going to look like for them. So I don't think it's inevitable for artists broadly construed. There's always going to be some section of artists that are just like, that's not for me. You know, they're same reason that not every artist uses 3D, right? Even though it's on the table, they'd rather make the illusion from scratch. Same reason then that there's 3D artists who don't draw because they're like, oh, that's not for me. You know, you in art, if we're taking the commercial industries off the table where there are expectations put on you by clients and companies and things like that, individual artists will always be able to sort of choose what they want their practice to look like. If we are talking about the commercial industries, is it inevitable? Some form of it maybe, but I'm not convinced that the current version is inevitable. You know, the current version has copyright problems both on, does it infringe on the works that are in the training set? Can you copyright the works? Obviously, if you can't copyright stuff made by AIs, that's very problematic for companies that want to use it to generate IP. Yeah, I think there's big problems. There's big enough problems and gray areas and concerns with the current versions of them, these broadly distributed, commercially available text-to-image models, that I think you'd be hard-pressed to say that that version of them is inevitable in the commercial industries. As to what's at stake for me, the very soul of creativity itself. I'm not exaggerating when I say everything. Everything. I would not have guessed that at all. You seem supremely talented. Maybe it's only the talented ones that actually have that bit of doubt. No, talent doesn't, you know, if you don't, you haven't known me since I was 5, you know, you didn't, you know, no one cared about me until I put the mask on, until I had a YouTube or anything like that. You didn't know me when I was in college, bottom of the pack in my class, you know, middle to bottom of the pack, just making inconsistent, mediocre, uninteresting, technically unexciting work over and over and over and over and over again. It's like a self-selecting set. It's like some percentage of people here watching me, it's just like, it's already kind of good, so they already care because it's good, and this is just the only slice of me that they have. But, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's just kind of the way art works, but that's not the truth of art. People need to work, people need to develop, and talent is best construed as fortuitous circumstances early on in the journey and appropriate temperament for the kind of work that you want to do. I think that those two factors really cover most of what you'd want from talent for most people. But talent doesn't really go far. You know, you need to develop it. And nobody has a starting level of talent that is just sort of where they want to be. Nobody starts at the level that they want to be at. That'd be impossible. It just doesn't make any sense. Everybody can imagine something more than what they're capable of. So they always push. They always need to develop. Hi, Stephen. For character design, what place you suggest for good and useful visual information about a culture or a period? Books. Books are better than stuff online. I always recommend for specific historical knowledge, especially for stuff like clothing, if that's what you're talking about, go books. You'll waste forever trying to find good information online. And if you had just bought one book, you'll get accurate information, you'll get good photographs, clear photographs if it's a highly photographic book, and most importantly, you'll get great vocabulary, which will inform your internet searches moving on. So I would be, if you can at all afford to get a book on the topic, a book is always going to save you so much time and improve your Google foo, which is very important for doing research. And books have context. You know, stuff you find on the internet is often completely devoid of context, and context is so important for design, so important. Whoa, I got behind here. Steve, were you talented for anatomy since you became a TA in Art Center of all places? Again, no, I wouldn't say so. I mean, it was one of the things I started studying earliest. Like once I became aware that you could sort of consciously improve on aspects of art, which probably occurred around when I was like 14-ish. Before that, I would say I was just drawing in a very unstructured way, just drawing stuff that excited me, and trusting that that alone would help me improve, but not really being aware of, you know, the paradigms that we're all aware of now, of like you practice anatomy, you get better at anatomy, you practice basic shapes, it translates to such and such. I became aware of that pedagogical idea at around 14-ish. And anatomy was one of the first things I started looking at through that lens. But I would not say I was talented, but it was, for most of my development, it was one of the things I was stronger at just because it had the most time in it. Hello, Colin. Have you ever heard of that beginner YouTube artist, Ahmed Al-Duri? I have. He's pretty good. Pretty good. Are the dropped frames on my end? I might be dropping frames. Yeah, it looks like I'm dropping frames. I don't think it's just on your end. I think I'm to blame here. Or my internet is to blame. My damned internet. I have a question because I'm amazed at how you do it. How do you start drawings without even the slightest hesitation? It really amazes me. I think for most people, it's a function of just, you do enough of them, you couldn't possibly care about one of them. It's like I've done thousands. I've finished many. I've thrown away thousands, tens of thousands. So it's like, what's one more, you know? It's not a big deal. After a certain point, it's just like you have enough under your belt that you couldn't possibly worry about them too much. Also, don't forget that nothing bad can happen in a drawing. They're just drawings. They're just dust on paper. What's going to go wrong? You don't have to show it to anyone if it goes wrong. No one's going to come knocking on your door, breaking down the door, saying, oh, you fucked it up. How dare you do that? Put a bullet in your brain. You're good. It's fine. Mess it up as bad as you want. It'll have no effect on you. It's perfectly fine. So it's less about not hesitating or sort of like being courageous about drawing. It's more about recognizing like there's nothing to worry about. There's just nothing to worry about. You've thrown away your drawings? My God, I've thrown away thousands of drawings. Tens of thousands of drawings. I don't have most of the... I've thrown away most of the drawings I've done, for sure. You know, at a certain point, I started taking seriously, like, keeping my sketchbooks. And my mom has certainly preserved many of them. But there was a long period in the middle where it was like, I'm just trying to get better. Why the hell would I save all this? And just boom, right in the trash, throw them out. Not a big deal at all. Any luck on finding your early sketchbooks? Well, I know where they are. They're with my family, but my family's in Florida, so... Do you recommend throwing out drawings? No. I mean, if you've got the room, screw it. Keep them all. It'll be fun to look back on them someday. I'm from New York. Never had a lot of room. Real estate is a rare luxury around here. And when I was working my ass off in my college days, you know, I was a broke college student, so I just had a little apartment in Pasadena. I didn't really have much room to be storing up all that stuff. My space was always cramped. What's your favorite coffee shop in New York? Whatever one is closest and cheapest. You know, I'll be honest, I think my favorite coffee shops in New York are just cheap, endless diner coffee. I'm not like a high-end coffee kind of guy. I'm mostly disappointed by high-end coffee. What I like is weak, bad coffee from a diner that right when it's about to run out, they come by with the carafe and refill it. That's my favorite coffee. Don't get me wrong, I can tell when a place has garbage coffee, but not super attached to like high quality coffee. How do you deal living in New York when it gets constantly attacked by aliens and villains? You know, I just try to keep my head down, keep drawing. It's always priority number one. Steven, did you watch the season finale of Succession? Thoughts? I did, and I liked it. I thought it was an appropriate ending. No spoilers, but I thought it captured the theme of the show, you know? What are your top 5 favorite drugs, Steven? Caffeine, 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 and caffeine. An ode to caffeine. Caffeine. I love you, caffeine. Please always be with me. I need you to unlock my potential. When I think about caffeine, I just feel very motivated. I feel very addicted. I feel very powerful. I feel very energized. Experiencing a lot of physiological arousal. Caffeine beats them all. Well tolerated, easy to source, perfectly legal. I mean, it's the best. It's the best. No other drug can compete. No social stigma. I prefer some hashish to relax before drawing. Jesus Christ. That's intense. You'd be like... lines like... I've never done hashish, so I don't actually know what it would do to you. is that an old man with reading glasses in a flesh mech suit? Yes. The award for most incisive viewer goes to Saman Kucher. More of a sugar man myself. Ooh, watch out for that. Could be some serious health repercussions from relying on sugar for your energy. You just be careful. Let me get my 14B. Steven, do you drink your coffee with milk and sugar, or as black as your soul? Just milk, no sugar. My mom, who's a very gentle woman, very gentle and kind, drinks strong coffee, black as night, and it doesn't seem to affect her at all. It's the Colombian genetics, for sure. I think there's definitely a genetic, geo-ethnic quality to why caffeine agrees so well with my system. I think it's like some part of me is lacking without it. Like it actually completes my genetic profile, you know? It's like a Kwiatkowski Hedrock kind of a thing. It's the real world equivalent of the spice melange. Caffeine taken intravenously would better put into perspective its potency. I bet. I'd be down. I'm in. Steven, how do you train your eye to instantly lock onto shadow shapes no matter what lighting is used? Do you just need hours and hours of contact? I'm not sure what you mean. I mean, I don't know what you mean by lock on to shadow shapes. Do you mean like get their shapes correct when you're looking at a reference or something like that? I think it's just familiarity with the fact that they are abstract shapes that are sort of different than what you intuitively conceive the form to be. You know, there's arms are made up of shadows that are not arm shaped when you look at them separately. I think you just need to become very familiar with that fact, accept that fact, and then you just get used to the kinds of shadow shapes that are produced by particular kinds of subjects, you know? There are weird shadow shapes that are just more likely to show up on arms, different family of shadow shapes that are more likely to show up on a nose or something like that. And you naturally get used to those from just years and years of familiarity. Do you even drink alcohol, dude? I do drink alcohol. I'm not a big alcohol guy. I don't drink much. I do like beer. It makes me feel sick really fast. I'm one of those people. I'm very much a lightweight. I never got over not quite over the hump on that. You know, I stop having fun after 2 drinks, I'd say. I can't get on the wave. I just start feeling kind of ill and wishing I could go to bed. 1 beer, though, like that. Steven, do I get the course? Of course you get the course, of course. Of course you do. Of course you do. Why would you not? Chat, or Steven, what's the name of this kind of sketchbook? This is a Moleskine sketchbook. Moleskine with an E at the end. And it's not their notebooks. They have a separate line that is sketchbooks. It's not just one of their notebooks. It's their specifically sketchbook paper. They're carried in all sorts of stores, stationery stores and stuff like that. Very common brand now. They're everywhere. Easy enough to get online. It's high quality paper. It's good paper in these sketchbooks. It's a little pricier than a lot of other sketchbooks, but for good reason. It's paper you can do finished drawings on. I did most of the demos for my drawing course in Moleskine sketchbooks. What would you say is a good way for a beginner to start drawing consistently? Keep the time relatively low. Don't exhaust yourself in a drawing session. So let's say you know that after 2 hours you start getting frustrated or you feel like you're pushing it. Don't do 2 hours in a drawing day. Do an hour and a half, do an hour. You want to get used to leaving gas in the tank so that it's easy to come back the next day. And ideally, every session you end it kind of like knowing what you would do next, knowing what you would keep drawing if you were going to keep drawing, whether that's progress on a single drawing or what you would draw for the next sketch or something like that. I would focus on setting up that virtuous cycle early on. And don't push it. Don't go for just hours. Don't get obsessed with numbers. Just enjoy what you're doing and give yourself energy. Leave energy. Goodbye, 166 IQ. Will my charisma go up if I buy the course? Yes. Of course it will. That's one of the most important aspects of the course. It is guaranteed. Drawing knowledge directly translates into charisma. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that. Sunsia says, Steven, weird question. Have you ever dealt with someone who was obsessed with you? No. I'm not like a celebrity or not like a I don't know. The art world is not like other things or parts of YouTube or places you can be popular. Like, you know, art doesn't really get that kind of energy, you know? No, I've never had anything like that. I don't know anyone who's had anything like that either. It doesn't really happen. Well, I don't want to jinx it for anyone who's then going to go off and have a bad experience. But yeah, just the energy around art is very different, you know? I don't think it's very rare for people to get obsessed like that. You know, people are interested in the work. They're not really interested in artists like as people, you know. They're not like, generally they're not very like allured to them or fascinated with them or anything like that. They like the work, you know. I think it's just different. It's different. It's different than like a celebrity or a singer or someone who's really good at Call of Duty or something like that. I think it's much easier to get obsessed with people who are really good at Call of Duty. And Schaefer says, thanks for streaming, especially the graphite kind. I like drawing what you draw to relax, but gotta go. Have a good night. Happy to help. Goodbye, M. Schaefer. Ever been to a big festival like Lollapalooza or Firefly, Steven? No. I'm not much of a concert guy, actually. I just never developed that habit much in my youth, which is where I think it really like gets ingrained for people. Well, you do attract some peculiar people from time to time. I thought your energy could have attracted that attention. No. No, I don't. No, it hasn't. And I wouldn't expect it to. I think that kind of obsession really hinges a lot on like the weird energetics around fame and people who draw. You know, I know there's some famous artists, but people who draw and illustrate and stuff like that, we don't really have any fame. Even the people at like the top of their game, they're not really, they don't have fame on the level necessary to produce that energy, you know? Do you feel the culture of your physical residence is part of your success and to keep continuing in art? What do you mean by physical residence? Like living in New York or something like that? Certainly something like the country that I'm from and the state that I live in and all that. Like that's such a huge conditioning factor for anyone, you know, no matter where you live, that it has to contribute. I'm very lucky to live the life that I live and, you know, to live in a place that isn't war-torn and stuff like that. That makes a massive contribution to my ability to peacefully invest my time in things like art making. Yes, living in New York. Well, you know, if you're looking at it from like the cultural weight that New York has, I actually don't engage that much. You know, I'm not like out there in the art scene in New York in general. I'm definitely more of like an online first kind of a person. I went to school and made my connections in California, not in New York. Maybe that might become a factor later in my life, but for now, like I said, besides the fact that I have the incredible good luck to live in a good place, the cultural aspect, like the lively New York art scene, I'm not really involved in that. I do go check that out, but I don't engage. Like I'm not really, like when I go to gallery openings and shows and stuff like that, it's not like I'm talking to anybody. It's not like I'm networking. I'm just there as an audience member to view it. Was the plan always to leave California and return to New York? No. I never like closed off to that idea, but I didn't do it according to a plan or anything. Sorry, let me respond to my wife here real quick. I was living in California with my wife. We weren't married yet, but we were living together in LA. And we're both from New York, but she had moved out to LA, and we were living together there. And she got a job she really wanted in New York, and we didn't want to do long distance again. You know, we'd done it for a while at that point. So when it came up and it came time to choose, I was like, just go take the job and I'll meet you in New York. Give me 6 months and I'll sort of just restructure my life and figure this out. So no, I didn't really move. It was a surprise when I moved back to New York, but I had never said like I'm never going back to New York or I'm going to live in California forever. Where would you do network? I think for a lot of people, going to conventions is a good idea. If you're not going to school or anything like that, I would commit to going to 1 or 2 conventions for the year and do your networking there. It makes it so much easier. I know it can be nerve-wracking for a lot of people, but it's only like, you only need to pretend to be an extrovert for like 2 days, right? However long you're at the convention. And the thing is that unlike online where people are kind of guarded or you need to really sort of draw them out of their shells, everybody who's at a convention is like high with energy and everybody is expecting networking to happen and they're expecting, even unconsciously, to meet people and to make connections. So that makes it much more likely that it'll actually happen. It's just a much more conducive environment for that kind of a thing. I love this spiky armored man thing. Thank you. Did you get to visit the National Gallery when you were in DC? Not on this trip, but I have been there before. It's a great museum. It is a great museum. How important do you think comfortability is trying new things in your development as an artist? It seems like the best guys all have that comfortability, you included. I think it's a balance for everybody. I do think that I think the comfort zone gets a bad rap. I think that you should spend a considerable amount of time in your comfort zone because that conditions the art practice to be peaceful and happy. And that will help it turn into a refuge from the chaos of life. And then that means you'll do it more. So I think that that pays dividends in the long run because you just make art a happy place that you want to return to. And that makes it much easier to improve. But then, like I said earlier in the stream, if you're an artist, you can always imagine something better than what you're doing. It's easy to imagine. And you have good taste. You have an active imagination. So at the very least, you can look at what you're drawing and just imagine something cooler. You know, you can imagine another level of energy to strive for. So you balance the comfort zone and the joy that's in there with wanting to move slowly, incrementally towards the greater stuff that you can imagine. But I do think that people can get a little bit too obsessive about hustle culture kind of thinking and just like, oh, never be comfortable if you're doing the same old thing over and over again. You know, you're not growing and all that. It's like, yeah, you're going, by definition, to grow, you're going to have to push your boundary a bit. But if you get obsessed with that, just sort of dogmatically, you can burn yourself out really easily. and you'll just never be deriving from drawing or from art the ease and the comfort that can be there, and that often conditions people to keep doing it instead of just getting very career-minded about it and then giving up when there's setbacks and things like that. Are you going to Lightbox? Yes, I do plan on it. Ooh, I thought I could turn my fan off, but it's too hot in here. Damn. Very hot and humid days in New York this week. Ooh, big stretch. Yeah. Oh, right back to bed, huh? I gotta give this dog FOOD very soon. The Lanky Boys have once again won over Blobmen. I do love to jump back and forth. Sometimes you want mass, sometimes you just want sinuous scariness. Sinuous Scariness, the Steven Zapata story. Tonight on 60 Minutes. For years, he was a beloved art streamer. But underneath the surface, terrible things were happening. Tonight at 10 o'clock, the Steven Zapata story. Parental discretion is advised. Now you're staring at me. Don't stare at me like that. It's not time. Go back to bed. Go to bed. Go to bed. How do you write your Shakespeare-themed talks? Is that a module in the course? No, but maybe someday I'll reveal the incredible secrets. Lassie Talks About Art says, Steven, do you experience plateaus? Do you push through them, or how do you deal with that feeling of, oh, there isn't anything super exciting about art, but doing it is good? Yeah, I definitely have experienced plateaus. I think it's, I think that is the natural way it happens. Like, I don't think people learn linearly. You know, I think that you sort of have a breakthrough, integrate that breakthrough and sort of play on that level for a long time. And then what you learn from the integration tends to instantiate the next breakthrough. So I don't think plateaus are really negatives. I think they're just how it works. I think that that's what the process of learning looks. And because I feel that way, I don't really worry about it when I'm at a plateau. I mean, even if I feel like I've been doing the same kind of work for a very long time, I've been through enough cycles at this point that I just trust it. I just trust that this is just an integration period. I'm going through the unconscious part of me is doing the work. It is piecing these things together. It is going to figure out why it's interested in these things, how to grow these things. And one day, right as rain, if I'm just lucky enough to not get hit by a bus, I'm going to be sitting there or laying in bed or something like that, and boom, the next eureka will happen, and I will know what the next thing to add on is. So I don't really worry about it. Now, a lot of that might rely on really believing what I just said, but, belief is a huge part of art, I think. If you're worrying about it, you're worrying about it at a certain point. You got to trust yourself. My dog is licking one of my drawing pads. Jack Foster says, on the subject of Shakespeare, how do you end up with the Tempest Dream speech memorized? Were you ever an actor? I did some theater in high school. But besides that, no. I'm not an actor. I just... When a particular thing really resonates with me, like a piece of writing or something like that, I do sort of naturally wind up memorizing it. And I just have always found that, I don't know, that one has always really stuck with me. I think it's beautiful, of course, but I also think it's deeply true. Strikes me as deeply true. Oh, it's James. Hi, James. What's up, buddy? We both returned to streaming at a similar juncture. Classic. Were you taking a break there? I saw your stream pop up earlier today, but I hadn't connected in my head like, oh, James hasn't streamed in a while. Next time I see you on, I'll pop in and chat and ask to come bother you on stream. We can catch up. Went into the workhole. Classic. I would have known. Yeah, I want to get updated on that. I know you can't talk about that on stream, but I want to get updated on that in general, hear how that's going. But the project has me missing YouTube life? Of course. That was where you began. It's your natural home. You're always welcome to hop on mic. Yeah, next time I see you pop up, I will get in there and bother you. Mr. Zapata, have you visited recently the Open Observation Deck in Manhattan? I've been to the one at the, what's the building? I forget what the building's called, but the observation deck is called The Edge. I was at that one pretty recently. I think a year ago, something like that. Goodbye, Hamrain. Jack Foster says, James, you should post your streams to your channel or leave them up. Don't you tell James what to do. Don't you tell James what to do. You don't tell him. You don't tell James what to do. James very independently minded anyway. He can't be influenced. James is always going to do what James wants. Thanks for defending my honor, bud. That's what I do. I defend the honor of artists. When we chat, I'll need the Zapata life updates. Yeah, mostly AI related stuff. I went to Washington to advocate since we last talked. Paneled at Stanford. Telling them, hey, you quit it with the robots, all you people out there. Hey, I don't like them. Hey, quit it with the robots, man. You know, because when you speak to a room full of PhDs, you gotta bring it up a level. You know, there's a kind of language I use around here on my YouTube, on these streams. I dumb it down a bit. I dumb it down. Poof. When you're with the PhDs, you gotta know your audience. Speak on a more technical level. Lloyd Kuja says, will AI become my girlfriend? It'll become your girlfriend. No doubt. I think that's definitely in the cards. Stephen, no one is addressing the real concerns. Will AI take my girlfriend? I don't know. Carly doesn't really strike me as... I feel like she'd have a lot of problems with like a big cocked AI stud. You ever say something and you're like... just your gut tells you like, I should feel bad for saying that. And you kind of scan it and you're like, oh, I can't really figure out what's wrong with it. Digging the higher tones. Oh yeah, I can definitely be in those higher registers. Definitely. I don't know how I want these spikies to come off of this tricep. They're getting cropped unattractively. I don't like that. I think the word stud has that power of making any phrase with it immediately uncomfortable. Yeah, I agree. I will become my girlfriend, but I could never be its boyfriend. Wow, the chat clearly has a sophisticated relationship to the idea of being romantically involved with AIs. You know, it's something that we're all going to have to reckon with at some point. You know, be careful what you say these days, because when the sex bots come out, man, shit, it could turn us all into hypocrites, you know? Truly. Alex Honeycutt, hello. What up? You're here to say hello, and I say hello. I heard my boo James start chatting. I've been sitting here the last hour, but now it's a party. You know, once one person comes out of the woodwork, everybody else comes out of the woodwork. That's how it goes. Speaking of studs, you guys want to see some of the drawings I did at the Gay Bar Life drawing last night? Let's see. Oh, no, you guys, no. No, you're not ready for that. You're not ready for that. You couldn't handle it. Hey, come on, man. Little peek. Little peek. You can't handle it. You can't. I could tell. I could tell you guys couldn't handle it. It was all too much. It immediately started frying your brain. You guys got all weird. You guys were finding reasons to deny it. You were like, no, no. You know, you immediately just, you had a compulsive spasm the second you saw it. And, you know, I'm very generous. I'm not going to do that to people. I'm going to let you guys, you know, just sort of live on nice and comfortable in your lives. Nothing challenging you. I'm going to make it easy on you guys. I'm just going to take that right off the table. I know you guys can't handle it. You're just not, you're not mature enough. You know, you're not mentally mature enough to handle it. You guys got to grow up. You've got to grow up. That was just two sketches from a whole night of Gay Bar Life drawing. And it just, you guys couldn't handle it. Nab says Stephen is absolutely true. It was challenging indeed. Oh, man. Man, was it a fun night at least, Stephen? It was. I mean, that vibe is way funner than a stuffy art class, you know? They know how to have fun. They know how to have fun. And 2 free drinks with your ticket? Come on. Miss Sylvester says, those two sketches pump me up so much I don't even want to calm down anymore. Oh, man. I think I could handle it all. I'm mature in the truest sense of the word. I don't know, guys. Wait, which one did I just show? No, you guys could not. No, you guys could not. I mean, if I hit you guys with something like that, right? Oh, your heads would explode. You can't handle that. You can't. Let's just move on from that. You guys can't handle that. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know how to control yourselves. You guys just don't, you know, a lot of growth to do, a lot of growth. It's just, you know, serious artist stuff, you know, serious artist stuff. So many arcane secrets hidden in the pages of Steven's sketchbook. Trust me. You guys have no idea what I'm capable of. No idea. No idea. The paper was a little blown out there. That's more like what I see in front of me. Anyone here have suggestions for good pencils for sketching? I'm a fan of HBs myself, but I think it's all preference, you know? I like to sketch with a mechanical pencil just because I'm like a very line-focused person in the beginning. But you might be more a value person. You might want to throw down bigger shapes first, so you might like a wooden pencil with a broad tip, or even a woodless pencil, so it has a really broad tip. This has been one of your funniest streams, Steven. I'm having a blast. I'm sure I don't know what you're talking about. We're very deathly serious about art around here. I'm sure I don't know what you're talking about. Who here has seen Across the Spider-Verse? I loved it. A lot of people in chat have seen it. I have not seen it yet. I gotta go see it. I really liked the first one. I regretted not seeing it in theaters, so I don't want to make the same mistake again. Is the blending thing chalk? No, it's just a blending stump. It's just paper, rolled up paper. It's a cheap little art supply. You can just use like a paper towel for the same effect. I like using the blending stumps just because they're a little smaller, a little more controlled, because I like to draw with them a lot, make shapes with them. So the little pointy tip just makes that a little easier rather than using my finger with a paper towel wrapped around it. But if you're just trying to soften big areas, paper towel will do the same job. Or your finger. It's just that your finger will leave behind a little oil, which is not really a huge deal, but it does bother some people. What's the name of the blending tool? It's a blending stump. It's I think its technical name is a French Academy name, a tortillon or something like that. Tortillon. A twister mischievous. A tortillon. I know a lot of artists are against using that, which I don't understand. Well, you know, artists really have a tendency to get in a jumble about things that they shouldn't be in a jumble about, so are we really surprised? Thanks for the inspiration, Stephen. My pleasure, Duramali. I got another. Dang it. So glad I made it to a stream while you were live, but now I have to put away my pencils and actually go cook dinner. Darn bodies that have needs or they stop drawing. I know what you mean. Actually, that reminds me, I'm probably... Oh yeah, it's 5:40 here. I'm getting pretty close to dinner preparation time myself. But I still got some time, because I think my wife's going to be late today. And dinner's easy today. Who would be against blending? Dude. Artists will be against anything. Artists will be against anything that they don't do in their practice. Every artist's starting position is everything that I do and think is right. And it is, in a sense. For their practice, it is right. But it's silly once you extend it to others. I would vote that every artist who told other artists not to use blending stumps because bad reason A, B, C, D, E, F, G, they made a mistake. They made an error. And I have compassion for them, and I forgive them. But they were fools. And dude, my dog must be very hungry. Wondering when you're going into the branded blending stump business? Man, at this point, I probably should. At the risk of blowing up my spot in the future, at this point, people are so surprised by blending stumps, and they have such a bad rap in like the old mode of online drawing advice and stuff like that, that at this point, I probably could. These things are like worth no more than 50 cents each. But I could totally make a Steven Zapata brand of blending stumps and sell them for like $15 a pop. There, now that I've said that, I can't be tempted to actually do that, which would be evil. Would be evil of me to do that. And now I am safe. Now I can never be tempted to do it. I have already given away the game. I have made the ethical choice. We're all good here. It would be so easy. Because people would be like, man, he's getting this look somehow. It's got to be the tool that I haven't seen anyone else using. That's got to be the trick. Oh, man, I could be riding that all the way to a new house. Goodbye, Renola. Thank you for being here. Do you find inspiration in dreams? Have you dreamt weird stuff? I think my dreams are pretty average. I don't think I've dreamt anything weirder than what anybody else dreams. I don't usually get inspiration from them, though. My stuff like this doesn't show up in my dreams. I think I spend so much time drawing this stuff day to day, and that is, you know, sort of giving a vision a very concrete form, that I think in situations where you would otherwise see things like this, hallucinatory states, dreams, things like that, I find that for my personal physiology, it almost never produces them. It's like my unconscious is uninterested in reiterating this, because it's like, yeah, we see it. We have a whole part of our lives that is dedicated to making these things real and seeing them very vividly and stuff like that. Alex says, how do you know what your comfort zone is or what you like to draw? Geez, I don't know. That's an interesting way to phrase it. I guess I would have thought you would just kind of know. I don't know. I mean, I think for most people, it's the thing that has been with them longest, you know, whether that's a particular medium or a mode of working or a subject matter. If you don't have that much like built up experience from like drawing in childhood or something, then I guess it makes sense that there might be a path to sort of like finding your comfort zone. Like you maybe don't have enough data yet to know it. But I think on a long enough timeline, all artists do have a comfort zone. For me, my comfort zone is definitely working with pencil, but I've embraced it so fully. It's like, fuck that being my comfort zone. That's just my area of expertise, you know? Pretty obvious to me that it was my comfort zone, because it was it was my medium of choice ever since my childhood. And especially like what I'm doing right now, like just being hunched over a sketchbook that's about this size and drawing in it with a pencil. This bodily configuration, this mode of thinking, these actions, I have literally been doing this, exactly what you're watching me do right now, for like 27 years. That's crazy to think about. It's definitely going to be the comfort zone. This exact ritual I have recapitulated so many thousands of times. It's crazy. Body in this position, sketchbook this size, pencil in hand, drawing something without reference. That's just what I've been, that's the the earliest thing I can remember doing with art. When I think about all those childhood hours, they were mostly spent in this mode, you know? It's wild to think about. Are you doing anything to prevent back pain? I've been very lucky with that throughout my life. You know, working traditionally really helps. You know, you can just kind of shift your body very easily, slide the paper over, stuff like that. I have not suffered much back pain from drawing. My situation is definitely not ideal, though. For example, I draw flat, you know, which that's probably not going to change anytime soon since, you know, I stream with a overhead rig that sits on the table and stuff like that. It's definitely more ergonomic to work on a drafting table where it's tipped. And I did have that for a while. All through college, I had a drafting table, and I guess really I had a drafting table all my years in California. So I did spend 9 years of eight-ish years of my practice spending a good amount of time drawing tilted, but besides those 8 years, flat all the time. So not ideal. Definitely get a drafting table if you can. I plan on getting one now that I've moved into a bigger space. But yeah, I've just been very lucky with the back pain. I want to express great gratitude to the body. I don't deserve this much good health. I mean, every damn day that you give me good health, body, I really appreciate it. I'm in perfect health right now. I mean, damn, a single day of perfect health is just more than anyone can ask for. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I will continue to appreciate it when you decay. I am subject to death, sickness, aging. I am not beyond these things. Nothing like a little bit of dualistic gratitude practice to really concretize your relationship to your personality and body. Any suggestions on what kind of drafting table to get? No. I've been struggling with that. I actually bought one, didn't like it, and I sent it back, and I've been trying to look for a good replacement since. When I pick one, when I find one, I will definitely let you know. From the little experience that I've had, newer ones tend to suck or are ugly. Look for an old one. I haven't picked one up yet, but when I'm searching, vintage ones seem to have most of the stuff I'm looking for. A nice look. All right, everybody, we've been going, it's getting very close to dinner time, and we've been going for over 3 hours here, so I'm going to start winding down. So if you have any last questions, throw them in the chat. I will try to lightning round them before I go. I forgot to say it earlier in the stream, but for anyone considering getting the course, Form from Imagination, I am planning on putting out a no feedback version of the course at a reduced price early next month. So let that factor into your purchase decisions. I do not have the price yet. I do have a number in mind. I'm still open to changing it. Haven't fully committed to that number yet. So I just don't want to say a number and then switch it up on people. But once I lock it in, I will let you all know. But just know, if you've been waiting for something like that, it will be reduced in price. It will be self-study. It won't have the feedback from me, but it will be cheaper. And I will have an option to add feedback on as a separate ticket later. So you can start with no feedback and then you can upgrade if you want later. Let's just leave that there. Sploid says that kind of sounds antithetical to Steven's whole ethos. If you mean the no feedback thing, yeah, I won't lie, it is a little antithetical. I believe in feedback so much, and that's why I made the course the way that I did. But enough people have asked, and certainly a lot of people have gotten a lot of messages of people being like, "Is there any way? Is there some other price system that could work out?" And I haven't been able to help them because I really can't move the price when it requires such a huge time investment from me to do the feedback. So the people have spoken. I think as long as feedback is available, I can make my peace with it, because what really, there's just got to be a way to get some guidance, even if it's not there from the start. As long as you can upgrade to it later, I think I can live with that. But I do think feedback is super important. For the love of God, it's like, certainly my advice would be for anyone who can bear it, get the feedback version. Definitely get the version with feedback. Thanks for streaming, Steven, says Barbie Burninator. Been in a rut and depressed state for a while, so it was nice to sit and draw along. Hope to catch another stream soon. Take care. Oh, thank you, Barbie Burninator. I'm happy to help, truly. I hope you get out of your rut. It's always temporary. This too shall pass. Let drawing be your refuge. Be happy in there. Drawing has incredible powers to bring peace. Keep doing it. Digital drawing with a standing table is so good for me. If anyone hasn't tried it, I really recommend it if you can with a screenless tablet. Yeah, I always preferred, for years and years, I preferred screenless tablet to screen tablet because, yeah, you just get to sit upright. It's great for ergonomics. I recently switched to the Huion, or a screen tablet, a screen that you draw on, just because I had need to do a lot more handwriting. That's like one thing I never could quite get a grip on with the screenless tablet. Steven, have you ever seen those restaurants that have competitions where your meal is free if you can eat a ridiculous challenge amount? This is how you should market your art course. I'm not, what do you mean? What do you mean? You think I make people eat a ton of pie, and if they can eat a certain amount of pie, they get the course for free? It's interesting. Definitely of interest. I do like the idea of people eating a lot of pie. That's for sure. No problem, Boxer Wing. Thank you, Cursed Fetus. You're very kind. Hefe says diamond heart, diamond heart, diamond heart. So does Saman Kutcher. Diamond heart, diamond heart, diamond heart. Red Diamond Man. I don't even remember what the original song was. I actually don't remember how the original Red Diamond Man song was. I'm going to have to go back and listen to it. Igor Burke says, hi, Steve. I'm kind of new to your channel. I like drawing and always am. Your works look very cool. Do you draw animals combined with human anatomy, for example? Yeah, I like animal stuff. Yeah, every now and then I'll do something that's sort of a hybrid of things. I do generally stick more to transmogrification of human stuff, but I have studied animal anatomy, and I think Whenever things get really wacky, the animal anatomy kind of sneaks in there no matter what. No matter what. Momentai says, any quick advice for improving tone or speaking in general? Should I record myself? The usual, if you don't have like a natural process, the process that I usually give people, well, it depends what you mean. If you're talking about like giving a planned speech or talk or something like that, the usual advice I give, and it doesn't work for everyone, but just as a general thing, is it depends on how much time you have, but for most applications, you know, you can probably only get the audience to remember 3-ish things. So pick 3 things that are your main points, write them down, stick to them. Know your audience, so tailor them to your audience. If you don't know your audience, research your audience. Your audience and who they are, their background, things like that, determines what level you should be speaking on the topic of, what's going to be relatable to them, what's going to be unrelatable. If I have time to pre-plan things, I like to just write my whole speech. So what I do is I kind of talk it to myself so that I naturally know which way my thoughts go, and I write it down. So I just write it like a document. I like that because it lets me be as precise with my words as possible. So I write it out while sort of talking it to myself. Then once I have the whole document, I record myself reading the document, and I put stars or red markouts where I stumble over my words. That lets me know that the writing in that area has overcome the natural inclinations of my speech. So then I'll go back to those areas and I'll edit them into a way that is natural for me to speak them. So I'll recite the sentence over and over again and see what way my words naturally go. Have a recorded version of that as well. And then I listen to the recording a few times through, and I listen to what sounds awkward, what sounds uncomfortable, what doesn't make sense. And listening to it, usually by the time I've listened to the recording, which is grating, it sucks. I don't like hearing my own voice. Nobody does. It's like, just push through it. If you listen to it 10-ish times, you will be surprised how much of it you've actually memorized. Sleep on it. For the most part, most people will find a couple nights of sleeping on it, listening to the recording a few times, you'll have memorized, you'll remember like 75% of it. Practice it a few times with the document open to fill in the last 25%. You'll be good to go. You'll be able to wing it off the cuff. Are you familiar with the work of Agostino Arrivabene, Insane Artist? Might be your cup of tea. I am not familiar with it, but I will put that in a tab for later. Stephen, I have to draw some Mesoamerican architecture concept art. How do you research that? I can only find big monuments, but no private houses and similar small day-to-day buildings. Similar to what I said to someone else, someone else's question earlier in the stream, get a book. A book is the way to go. For specific stuff like that, like books always have the best info, and you're probably only finding big monuments because you don't know the specific terminology for the private houses and the day-to-day buildings within that vernacular. You get a book, they will tell you the terminology for those kinds of buildings in that vernacular. You Google that, suddenly you'll find it. That's a wicked drawing, man. Thank you. Love it. Thank you, Chady. I appreciate it. You're welcome, Nick. My pleasure. Goodbye to Ben. Goodbye to Burhan Arslan. Burhan says, thank you, Grandmaster. That's very kind. You changed my goal from getting a job, from enjoying more when drawing. I'm very glad to hear that. Enjoyment is number one. Cursed Fetus says, I lost my favorite lead pencil. Now that is truly cursed. That's pain. Thank you, Jim Wool. Thank you, Lack. Goodbye, Saman. Goodbye, Sylvester. Cursed Fetus says, do we influence your art in any way? Yeah, I'd say that's undeniable. Something as big as like my relationship to the audience and what I put out on YouTube and stuff like that, there's no way that doesn't influence the art. I'd have to think about it if I wanted to put it into words, but I can just guarantee you it's influencing me just because of how big of a part of my life it is. Steven, sing the Goblin Contract, please. What's the Goblin Contract? Is that some song I came up with one day? I never remember those off-the-cuff songs I have that I've sung or anything like that. I couldn't possibly remember it. But if I had to improvise, I'd be like, goblins, goblins, we are scary goblins. We obey a plan. Rule number 1, hurt people. Goblins, goblins, we live to hurt people, hurt people. I saw that my microphone was in the red, so obviously I've got to do that again. Goblins, we live to hurt people, hurt people. Long noses, pointy ears, armor made from people we have failed. Now, I wanted to blow out your speakers on purpose on that one. Like I said, when I'm singing, because of the nature of the internet and the nature of microphones, you guys aren't even getting 10% of my power. Even when I blew out your speaker there, I wasn't even at 30%. You have no idea the depth of the rock drive that is enabled by my incredibly potent diaphragm. You have no idea. I mean, I could blow your fucking minds. You have no idea. You'd run away. You'd run away if I hit you with the true power. You'd run screaming out of your room. I can promise you that. I can promise you that. Stephen, bless us please with the wisdom on how to render tone evenly with a pencil. Ah, my dear Lack, you get the course. You get the course. That's the real deal. I mean, it's just my answer to that is the length of the course. It's a surprisingly complex topic. Get used to the stump, and the rest is understanding light. The rest is understanding light. Oh, how's it? Jim Wolf said, Steven, sign the Goblin Contract, please. I misread that as sing. Well, you got a free song out of it. I'm a fucking idiot. I'm so sorry that I blew out if I had, a full production team, I'd have a mixer who's ready, just a real hard-eyed, cold, calculating motherfucker at the mixing board at all times. And he would know me. He would read me. Or I'd have like a secret hand signal under my desk. I'd do like this, or I'd put it down. He'd know he's going to hit the rock drive. He's going to hit the rock drive full power. It's time to lower. Slider goes down. Slider goes down. Lots of headroom to go crazy. Maybe I need to get one of those 32-bit float microphones, but I don't think the 32-bit float works for live streaming, right? That just means that you can recover all the data when you record into your software, right? Anyway, it's time for me to go. I have to start cooking. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here. Goodbye to Momentai. Goodbye to Discbreaker. Goodbye to Omega Weapon XCV. Goodbye to Jim Wool, Sylvester Lazarus, LS Demon, Keyboard Thug, Aswan Ramasundar, Will, Saman Kuchar, Lanessa Miller, Rappy, Joshua Vega, and everybody else who's been in the stream. Thank you so much. I hope that you have a lot of fun drawing. Keep it relaxed. Keep it chill. May the intrusive thoughts be far, far away for you all. And I will see you all tomorrow. I stream Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. So if we stick to plan, stream tomorrow. I often miss Thursday, but then I make it up some other day, either Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. So I will see you all soon. Take care, everybody.